In your IELTS reading test, you will get multiple choice questions. They appear in every test. But don't worry, in today's lesson we're going to be doing the strategy and some practice of multiple choice questions. So, as always, when you start the IELTS reading test, you'll glance at the questions, you'll acknowledge what type of question it is. In this case, we've got multiple choice questions. But what you'll do after that is immediately go to the text and read for gist. Now, reading for gist means reading quickly. It means getting a general understanding of the text. It means understanding the layout. And while we do this, we're going to highlight words and phrases. So let's do that together. Read this text for gist. If you're doing it on the screen, I've made it a little bit larger here. You can pause the video. If you want to highlight words, then you can download the PDF and highlight words on the printout. Okay, these are the words and phrases that I've highlighted when I've read this article for gist. Don't worry if we've got different words highlighted. The highlighting just helps us to actively engage with the text and stops our mind from wandering. So we've read the text for gist, we now go back to our multiple choice questions. What's going to be our strategy? Well, I recommend that you do the questions one at a time. You might want to read all the questions, but I think you should not focus so much on the alternatives, for example, A, B, C, or D, until you do this one at a time. So I would recommend first doing 32, reading the alternatives, finding the answer, and then moving to 33, 34, 35, and then 36. What you're going to do to find the answer is to scan the text, and when you scan the text, you'll locate the answer and you'll read that section in detail to choose the correct answer. Now remember, the answers come in order. So if you have number 32 and you have number 34, but you don't know the answer for number 33, you just need to look for the text between 32 and 34. Now, one tip is, if you're struggling with time, consider leaving this question type until the end, because you've got a higher chance of guessing the answer correct. In fact, you've got a 25% chance it's going to be either A, B, C, or D. So consider leaving this until the end if you struggle with time. Hey there, if you're enjoying this activity, then check out EnglishProTips.com, where you'll get help for all parts of the IELTS test: the listening test, the reading test, the writing test, the speaking test. You can start for free at EnglishProTips.com. See you inside. First, we're going to look at number 32. Which words would you highlight? Okay, these are the words that I've highlighted. What point does the writer emphasize in the first paragraph? So first paragraph immediately shows us where we're going to find the answer. How dramatically our reactions to music can vary. So for example, when we listen to music, do we feel happy, sad, maybe angry? How intense our physical response to music can be. For example, when we listen to music, maybe we start sweating or our heart starts beating. How little we know about the way that music affects us. Maybe we don't know how much it can impact our mood and how we feel. How much music can tell us about how our brains operate. So maybe music can give us a lot of indication into how our brains operate in other circumstances. Okay, so we know that the answer is in the first paragraph. So let's read that in detail and choose A, B, C, or D. Pause the video and try this yourself. Okay, I think the answer is here, from the middle downwards. The answer is B, how intense our physical responses to music can be. Why? Well, this paragraph gives a list of physical reactions to music. It explains how our eyes dilate so they become bigger, how our body and blood pressure rise. So we're getting a lot of physical reactions and responses to the music. So the answer is B. Let's move on to 33. Which words would you highlight? Okay, these are the words I would highlight. What view of the Montreal study does the writer express in the second paragraph? So we know the answer is in the second paragraph. Its aims were innovative. So innovative mean new and unlike anything before. The approach was too simplistic. So simplistic is from the word simple. C. It produced some remarkably precise data or data. So remarkably precise means very accurate. Or D. The technology used was unnecessarily complex. Maybe it didn't need to be so complex. Basic technology would have also worked. Okay, we know the answer is in paragraph 2. Let's read this paragraph in detail. Okay, so what's the correct answer? A, B, C, or D? What do you think? If you haven't chosen, remember to pause the video and choose before we continue. Okay, I think the answer is in this section here that I've just highlighted. However, this was a tricky one. The answer is C. It produced some remarkably precise data or data. Now, how do we know that this is the correct answer? It's difficult to say. Now, the writer states that the Montreal study resulted in impressively exact and detailed portrait of music in the brain. So, impressively exact, which is in the text, and remarkably precise, which is in the question, are synonym phrases. That means they mean the same thing. Also, portrait of the brain means a representation of the brain. As a result, the study produces data on what is happening to the brain when we listen to music, and that data is precise, it's accurate. The answer is C. Now, like I mentioned, this one was a tricky one. If you're not sure, here's a tip for you. Sometimes you find the correct answer by eliminating incorrect options or incorrect answers. So in this question, you could go, well, it's not A because it's not an innovative aim. Other studies had done this before. It's simply described as an important step. If it was an innovative aim, they might have said a groundbreaking study or a study in a new field. But instead, this is just an innovative step. Other studies have been done before. Now, it's not B, it's not simplistic because it uses fancy technology. So fancy and sophisticated are synonyms, which means that they are not too simplistic. It's also not D. It's not unnecessarily complex. The text does say there was fancy technology, but this was needed to be able to monitor the chemical reactions in the brain. We need fancy technology. We need sophisticated technology to be able to monitor neurons in the brain. Okay, let's continue on to number 34. Pause the video and choose which words you would highlight. Now, these are the phrases I would highlight. What does the writer find interesting about the results of the Montreal study? So we're still talking about the Montreal study. We're now looking at the results of that study. We've got 4 different options. The timing of participants' neural responses to the music, the impact of the music on participants' emotional state, the section of participants' brains which was activated by the music, or the type of music which had the strongest effect on participants' brains. Now, they're all plausible answers, so we need to go to the text and find the right section. Now, it says, what does the writer find interesting about the results of the Montreal study? So we're going to scan the text and find this phrase Montreal. So now we're looking for the Montreal study. However, there's a lot of text about the Montreal study. Let's try and find some information about the results. Well, if we scan, we find this phrase here, the first thing they discovered. So that's a result. A discovery and a result are synonyms. However, we also have this. More significant is the finding that. So a finding and a result are also synonym phrases. This gives us quite a large section of text to read. But let's do that. Let's read this section in detail and again choose the correct option. Pause the video now and choose an option. Okay, in this case I think the answer is here, active around 15 seconds before. So which is the correct option? It's A, the timing of participants' neural responses to the music. Why? Well, the writer explains that what is more significant, so more significant means interesting for the writer, is that dopamine neurons were at their most active around 15 seconds before the participant's favorite moment in the music. Let me explain what that means. Imagine you're listening to your favorite song and there's some sort of epic moment or crescendo or the chorus or some part of the music that you like. In your brain, before that moment is when you get most excited. So you know it's coming, it hasn't arrived yet, and as a result that anticipation gets you really excited and dopamine neurons start firing in your brain. Remember, this is passage 3, so it's a difficult text. Don't worry if you're not getting all the right answers. Let's move on to number 35. Pause the video and highlight some words. Okay. Why does the writer refer to Mayer's work on music and emotion? So I've highlighted Mayer because I think that's where I'm going to find the answer. To propose an original theory about the subject, so original theory is highlighted. To offer support for the findings of the Montreal study, so I've highlighted support for and Montreal study. To recommend the need for further research into the subject. Or D, to present a view which opposes, so is against, the Montreal researchers. So we're going to go back to our text and look at our multiple choice question, and at this stage we need to find information about Mayer. So we scan the text and we find this here. Now it says, to demonstrate this psychological principle, the musicologist Leonard Mayer. Now I think this phrase here is important. To demonstrate this psychological principle. The word this indicates that it's referring back to something earlier in the text. So we also need to read that section in detail. Let's do that together. Read the text and choose A, B, C, or D. Okay, this time the answer is B. Why? Well, the writer shows that Mayer agrees with the Montreal study because he introduces Mayer's study as one that demonstrates the psychological principles discovered in the Montreal study. So it backs up the same findings, it understands it, it demonstrates it. Again, remember that tip. If you don't know which the correct answer is, then look through the answers and choose which ones it isn't. That will help you. Let's continue and we're going to go on to 36. Pause the video and highlight some words to help you determine the difference between these different options. According to Leonard Mayer, what causes the listener's emotional response to music. So again, we're looking for information on Leonard Meyer. The way that music evokes poignant memories in the listener, the association of certain musical chords with certain feelings. A chord in music is, for example, when you hit different notes at the same time to produce a nice sound. That's a chord. The listener's sympathy with the composer's intentions. The internal structure of the musical composition. Okay, 4 tricky options. Let's go back to the text and let's identify where the answer is. So this time, we're looking in the final 2 paragraphs and we're looking for the phrase Meyer. We can find that name here. So let's read this section in more detail. Pause the video, choose the correct option. Okay, I think the answer can be found here. If you haven't chosen already, choose A, B, C, or D. The answer in this case is D, the internal structure of the musical composition. Now, why is that the correct answer? Because Meyers argues that our emotional response comes from the uncertainty in the music as a result of unpredictable notes and patterns in the music. So this means that because we can't predict the way the music is going to be, we get more excited, we get more emotional about the music itself. If we could predict how the music was going to be, it wouldn't cause such an emotional impact on us. Because we can't predict it, it does. Okay, this was quite a challenging task. This was a multiple choice question from passage 3, which, as you'll know, is the most difficult part of the IELTS reading test, but I hope you found it useful. Best of luck with your studies, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye then.